of the things that are happening in Russia, everything began on Friday. Let me give you a recap. Everything began on Friday after the head of Russia's private military contractor. So this is like, you always get them, is it Blackwater, BlackRock, Blackstone?
Yeah.
Can we stop with naming things black, BLM? Can we stop with it? No more stones, no more black, because I can't keep them, at least when it comes to investing and military. I don't know what they are anymore. So anyway, Blackwater. Blackwater, this is their country's Blackwater. And imagine, who was the head of that? Was that Eric Prince at one point?
Yeah.
Okay. So that'd be like Eric Prince, fomenting revolution and trying to overthrow the United States government. Except, if Eric Prince did it, would it be that bad? Yes, Glenn, it would be that bad. Of course, not as bad as the guy from the Wagner Group. These are killers, just killers, vicious killers. And the Wagner Group accused the top brass in the Russian military of attacking his troops with an airstrike. So we call that friendly fire. He called for a coup. And he moved quickly. They took 2 Russian cities. One of the cities was the home to the Russian military southern headquarters. So it'd be like taking Florida. That's not good. That's not good. You want to take New York, you can take it, but let's leave Florida alone. He moved really quickly. Then he announced that he would begin marching to Moscow. So it was an interesting Saturday. I got up, I started listening to the news, and I'm like, this is going to be interesting to see how it all works out. Of course, I didn't predict the way it did. So anyway, he said he was going to march to Moscow, and they were within 124 miles of Russia's capital, and he said, all of us are ready to die. All 25,000 and another 25,000. So they were ready to die. So that kind of sounds like I'm pretty committed. Don't you think, Stu?
Yeah. Usually when you pledge your life, your honor, your sacred honor, your fortune, your life, all of that, you usually are going to go through with it, especially with Vladimir Putin at the helm of your opposition.
Yeah, and I think with Vladimir Putin ahead of the operation, and we're talking the Wagner Group, we can leave sacred honor out of there.
Well,
you're just pledging your life and your fortune. Okay. That's really all you're doing. So
they're mostly prisoners and such. So
I was doing life in prison for killing beaches, and what now? I'm running Kyiv. So he says we're going to march. They were within 124 miles of Moscow. All of us are ready to die. Things were getting a little real. Every media outlet in the West was declaring a coup was about to topple Putin. Really not a good thing. And then all of a sudden, it's over. Now, Putin's generally a very forgiving guy. If anybody thinks that Donald Trump has a long memory of people who stab him in the back or don't like him or whatever, yeah, he's got a goldfish memory compared to Putin. Putin tends to kill people that disagree with him. I'm sorry. Putin tends to have a lot of former friends fall from rooftops in bizarre accidents. So he declared the coup. He was about to topple. Everybody was like, yay! And then the president of Belarus brokers a deal and says, hey, we'll take him over here. Wait, what? Belarus is a satellite. I mean, it's
Basically.
Not a wholly owned subsidiary of Putin Inc., but it's as close as you can get. It's a franchise, okay? And they brokered a deal and offered the Wagner leader sanctuary in Belarus. And then all the fighters that were willing to die, like just a few minutes ago, signed contracts with the military in Russia. And they're like, hey, we love you guys. What? We want to join the army. Wait, what just happened? Now, I don't think anyone except maybe Putin and the guy who's in charge of the Wagner Group, maybe last week saw an outcome like this in the offing. Or, I don't know, planners at the CIA. I don't know who saw this one coming, but this stinks to high heaven. And it gave me hope that we weren't involved at all. At first, when I heard about a coup, I thought, oh, dear God, please don't let us be involved in that. And I'm riding the elevators with some former military guys. And they all I said, please let's not be involved in that. And they all laughed and then looked at me. And my Scottish friend said, you do know that's what the CIA does almost full time, right? And I'm like, I know, but please don't tell me that on this particular case. They have nuclear weapons, and Putin tends to do things that we all think are nuts. So I really thought we would find out, or that Joe Biden would just go, pudding, and I planned a coup. And take credit for it, which would be horrific for everybody involved. However, let's think this out. The leader of Wagner has been a close Putin ally for years. His nickname is Putin's chef. Now, why is he Putin's chef? Because his company got multiple catering contracts for schools and the government. He is from St. Petersburg, just like Putin is from. And it's where both of them have their power base, is in St. Petersburg. Now, that is not the power base for the top brass in the military. They stick to Moscow. So over the past few months, the Wagner Group has been involved with the heaviest fighting in the battlefield. These are the guys that have done all of the real heavy lifting over there. In the past, they've been Putin's main force, what he wants, some level of deniability. Oh, is Wagner Group doing stuff bad again? Oh, bad Wagner Group, okay? When he wants people to go do things that, he wants to then say, oh my God, were they out of line? So they've had a nice little cozy relationship. They were also heavily involved in the seizing of Crimea in 2014, also involved in Syria and North Africa. It's almost like Putin has his own little army with the Wagner Group. And then the top military brass in Moscow has their own private military group. Okay, let me explain this in greater detail. It's one of those things that make you go, in 60 seconds. Okay, so Putin's top brass, if you will, would be the equivalent of our Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chief of Staffs. Joint Chief of Staff. And they have really been on the receiving end of the Wagner Group and his leader's wrath recently. For the past couple of months, he has been irate with the Russian military leaders. During an interview, he just trashed them. He accused them of withholding ammunition, failing on the battlefield, and then covering up everything that they reported to Putin. So Putin's not the enemy here to the Wagner Group. the military brass is. So why was this guy let off with a slap on the wrist after insurrection? Has Putin lost that much power, or is something else going on? Now, it's also being reported that U.S. intelligence agencies knew in June that this was going to happen. Could we keep some secrets that probably should be kept and then not keep secrets on things that Americans should know? I think the agency has not just lost its way. I think our intelligence agencies don't understand who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. You know, good guys, American people. Bad guys, Russia. Let's not tell the bad guys what we know or what we're doing. What do you say? Let's tell the American people what we know and what we're doing. My gosh. So the Washington Post, citing unnamed U.S. officials, of course, stated the Wagner leader warned the White House that this might happen. Hang on. The White House has communications with this guy? Why? He's a stooge for Putin. Now, if this were a real coup attempt and you wanted to keep it absolutely secret, don't tell the United States government. What are you, nuts? So here's the thing. I think the head of the Wagner Group wanted a media circus, not a coup. He wanted the two people that have been undermining Putin, his buddy, to be called out on the world stage. He wants them to be embarrassed. Now, it's reported that the deal may have been struck to oust the Russian defense minister and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Wow, so the Moscow boys get punished and the St. Petersburg Kings win the day. It almost sounds like this was great for Putin. By the way, he also looks tough. And guess who's coming up for an election? I think this is the most plausible explanation, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody else is saying anything like that. What do I know? But I have a lot of really good researchers and military people around me, and that seems to be the most logical. It also reveals the systemic rot that is spreading through Russia right now. This is what happens when you're losing a war, and after you've built your army as a political arm of the regime rather than a military capable of defense and winning wars. Any way you look at it, Russia and Putin are in trouble because this is a political military. By the way, military as a political tool for the regime sounds more and more familiar. Our defense secretary stood down the entire military to root out the white supremacist and Christian nationalists 2 years ago. You think he did that with the safety and security in mind? How about all the tweets from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Space Force, all making Pride Month posts? Our military has become a political machine. I don't remember seeing the head of all of our military branches talking about anti-abortion policies with Reagan. Why? Because that's political.